The second coming. Trump returns to the Oval Office January 20th, 2025. A familiar chill settled over Washington, D.C. The city, blanketed in snow, seemed to hold its breath as history repeated itself. As Donald J. Trump once again took the oath of office, the atmosphere was charged with a mix of anticipation and tension. The ceremony, steeped in tradition, felt both familiar and surreal. The crowd roared, a sea of red hats echoing the sentiment. He was back. Supporters, some with tears in their eyes, cheered with renewed hope and fervor. The intervening 4 years since his contentious defeat had done little to diminish his hold on a significant portion of the American electorate. His rallies, marked by passionate speeches and fervent supporters, had kept his political flame alive. His return marked a stark return to a more divisive era in American politics. The nation, already polarized, braced itself for what was to come. The streets of Washington, D.C. were a testament to this division, with supporters and protesters clashing in a battle of ideologies. The world watched with a mix of apprehension and fascination as Trump, older, perhaps a little grayer but no less determined, stepped back into the spotlight. His presence was as commanding as ever, and his rhetoric just as fiery. The question on everyone's mind, what would a second Trump term mean for America, and indeed the world? Speculations ran wild, from potential policy reversals to new international alliances. The answer, as it unfolded over the next 100 days, was a whirlwind of executive orders, policy shifts, and bold pronouncements. Each day brought new headlines, each more surprising than the last. Political analysts and commentators were in a frenzy, trying to decode the implications of each move. The busy newsrooms buzzed with activity as journalists scrambled to keep up with the rapid pace of developments. The world watched, waited, and wondered what the future held. A government reshaped policy changes and executive power. True to form, Trump wasted no time in making his mark. Executive orders flowed like a torrent, each one a brick removed from the edifice of his predecessor's legacy. Climate change initiatives? Gone. Transgender rights? Curtailed. The Department of Education? Facing a complete overhaul. Trump argued these were not just policy changes but a necessary course correction, a way to make America great again. His critics saw it differently. They saw an administration driven by vengeance, more interested in dismantling than building, and willing to wield executive power like a weapon. The art of the deal, again economic policies and tariff wars. The economy, always a cornerstone of Trump's rhetoric, was once again thrust into the center stage. Tariffs, his weapon of choice in his first term, were back, this time targeting a wider range of goods and countries. China remained in the crosshairs, but new tariffs on Mexican tomatoes and European luxury goods signaled that Trump's protectionist impulses were hardly satiated. While Trump touted these measures as a win for American workers, economists warned of potential price hikes and retaliatory measures from trading partners. The stock market, often a fickle barometer of economic confidence, fluctuated wildly, reflecting the uncertainty that permeated the business world. America first, world on hold, national security and global tensions. On the global stage, Trump's America First policy took on a sharper edge. Alliances were tested, and long-held diplomatic norms were cast aside. His relationship with Vladimir Putin, a source of constant scrutiny in his first term, remained a subject of intense speculation. Trump's decision to withdraw from NATO military exercises and his lukewarm response to renewed Russian aggression in Ukraine raised eyebrows across the globe. The international community, already grappling with a multitude of crises, watched with a sense of unease as the Trump administration charted its unpredictable course. A nation divided, domestic issues and social unrest. Back home, the deep divisions that had come to define American society under Trump's first presidency showed no signs of healing. If anything, his return to the White House seemed to exacerbate them. His rhetoric on immigration, race relations, and LGBTQ+ rights further inflamed passions on both sides of the political divide. Protests erupted in cities across the country, met with a show of force from law enforcement. Social media, now even more deeply ingrained in the fabric of American life, became a battleground for competing narratives and misinformation. The American experiment, once held up as a beacon of democracy, seemed to be teetering on a precipice, its future uncertain. The people speak, public reactions, and media frenzy. The media landscape was transformed during Trump's presidency, with every major news outlet dedicating extensive coverage to his every move. The media, often cast by Trump as the enemy of the people, had a field day. Journalists scrambled to cover the latest developments, often finding themselves at the center of the story. Every tweet, every utterance, every executive order was dissected and debated ad nauseum. Social media platforms buzzed with activity, amplifying the reach and impact of each statement. Cable news channels, fueled by the insatiable appetite for all things Trump, saw their ratings soar. Networks competed fiercely for exclusive scoops and interviews, driving a 24/7 news cycle. Late-night comedians couldn't write jokes fast enough to keep up with the constant stream of controversies. Satirical shows thrived, turning political chaos into comedic gold. Public opinion polls painted a picture of a deeply polarized nation. Conversations about politics became more heated and divisive, reflecting the growing chasm in American society. Trump's approval ratings remained stubbornly low among Democrats and independents, who were often vocal in their opposition. But his base of support, energized by his return to power, remained fiercely loyal. Rallies were filled with enthusiastic supporters, donning MAGA hats and waving flags. The country seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for the next big headline. Anxiety and anticipation were palpable, as people braced for what might come next. Bracing for the next bombshell, the next scandal, the next unpredictable twist in the Trumpian saga. Each day brought new developments that kept the nation on edge. The media frenzy showed no signs of slowing down, as the story of Trump's presidency continued to unfold with dramatic flair and relentless pace. A house divided, the opposition mounts. The Democratic Party, still reeling from their losses in the previous election, struggled to find their footing in the face of Trump's relentless onslaught. The party was in disarray, with leaders scrambling to unify their message and present a coherent strategy to counter the administration's policies. Internal debates raged on about the best course of action, with some advocating for a more aggressive stance while others called for patience and strategic planning. Some called for immediate impeachment, citing abuses of power and obstruction of justice. They believed that taking a strong stand against the president was not only a moral imperative, but also a necessary step to uphold the rule of law. These voices grew louder as more allegations surfaced, each one adding fuel to the fire of public outrage. Others urged a more cautious approach, fearing that a rushed impeachment would only further energize Trump's base. They worried that, without solid bipartisan support, the effort could backfire, leading to greater division and potentially strengthening Trump's grip on power. These leaders advocated for thorough investigations and building a strong, evidence-based case before taking any drastic steps. The Republican Party, meanwhile, found itself increasingly beholden to Trump and his agenda. The president's influence over the party was undeniable, with many Republican leaders aligning themselves closely with his policies to maintain their political standing. This alignment often came at the cost of their own principles and the party's traditional values. Moderates within the party were either silenced or forced to pay lip service to policies they once opposed. The internal conflict within the GOP was palpable, as those who dared to speak out faced backlash and isolation. This created an environment where dissent was stifled, and loyalty to Trump became the litmus test for political survival. The checks and balances that had long been the bedrock of American democracy seemed to be eroding, leaving many to wonder if the institutions of government could withstand the pressure. The judiciary, the legislature, and the executive branch were all under immense strain, and the future of the nation's democratic principles hung in the balance. As the political landscape grew more tumultuous, the resilience of these institutions would be tested like never before. 100 days in, a legacy in the making. As the 100-day mark of Trump's second term approached, it was clear that America had entered uncharted territory. The country was more divided than ever, its institutions under strain, its place in the world uncertain. Trump, for his part, remained defiant, claiming victory at every turn and dismissing his critics as losers and haters. Only time would tell what the long-term consequences of these first 100 days would be, but one thing was for sure: America and the world would never be the same. What's next? The road ahead for Trump and America. The next 4 years promised to be a wild ride, with Trump at the helm, steering the ship of state through turbulent waters. His supporters, clinging to the belief that he alone could restore America to its former glory, cheered him on. His detractors, fearing for the future of their country and the world, vowed to resist his every move. The battle lines were drawn, the stakes were higher than ever, and the outcome remained uncertain. One thing was for sure: America was in for a bumpy ride. Yes, worthy of note in summary is that Trump's first 100 days in the Oval Office was a shame, a disaster, and a big insult on the intelligence of the hugely smart Americans. Elon Musk became more powerful than the vice president. Needless to say, the president became his stooge. Trump unreasonably and without caution increased tariffs on almost all trade products from around the globe, thereby indirectly attacking the innocent, regular, hard-working Americans. Prices of products started rising without caution, contrary to his campaign promises. He and Musk destroyed the very fabrics of what makes America great by their actions through numerous unreasonable executive orders. Federal workers were fired with little or no notice, USAID was torn off the globe, most of our allies were bullied and intimidated in the likes of Ukraine, Canada, etc. Our trade partners were given cold shoulders. Multiple air crashes started occurring because of staff shortages at the control towers. The Congress was hardly consulted and judges were insulted. DEI was almost scrapped, making discrimination and injustice to go all-time high.